Hello and welcome to Dan's Sucky Rants, the channel where a loser named Dan rants about something completely unscripted. I'm a loser named Dan. Now, I've never made a channel, so I'm just going to, introduce myself, say what's going on here. I'm Dan. I'm a loser. That's all there is to it. Alright, so I had some coworkers who told me I should start a podcast, and I don't like podcast culture. I think it's ridiculous, so I decided I would start a YouTube channel instead, because somehow that's better. I don't know. I don't connect with Gen Z, even though technically I am Gen Z. So I'm just here. And that's what this channel is. I'm going to be making rants completely unscripted about random topics. I'm going to do it all in one take. If you don't want to watch, don't. I'm really only doing this because I don't want to pay for therapy, if I'm being completely honest. It works, doesn't it? Now, I do want to talk about podcast culture for a second because I'm doing this to avoid starting a podcast. Someone explain to me why when I am scrolling through Instagram Reels, because I'm really too old for TikTok, I really only see podcast videos like 90% of the time, and the other 10% are girls in bikinis, and, sometimes that's nice, but I don't really need all that either. Podcast, everybody and their dog has to have a podcast today. What's going on with that? I mean, even if they're recording it, they got these nice mics, and they're talking about absolute crap. Nothing they say has anything worthwhile. There's one channel that pops up on my Instagram a lot. That's these guys like talking about sports teams, and they're giving absolute false. There was one guy that couldn't pronounce the name Jean Beliveau. One of the greatest NHL players of all time. And he's sitting there trying to talk about his career, and he can't even say Beliveau right. Like, are you kidding me? Podcast culture is so freaking toxic. Like, everybody thinks that they've got something worth to say. Now, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm starting a channel, so maybe I'm guilty as well, but I literally told you, you don't need to watch this. But podcasts, they're just out of control. Now, I do listen to a podcast that is really out of podcast culture. It's called the Spitballers Podcast. It's literally just some dads in Arizona that started a podcast. It's pretty funny. And I listen to it. But you know how many podcasts are out there that probably don't have people watching them? Or if they do, it's only people's friends and family? Now, I recognize that's all who's going to be watching this YouTube channel. I don't give a crap. But podcasts are just out of control. You know what else is out of control? Tipping culture. I'll make another video on that. That has nothing to do with this. But all I'm saying is podcasts are ridiculous. Everybody listens to a podcast, and that's fine. Podcasts are just today's talk radio. But the problem is, when talk radio existed, people that did it were talented. Nobody's talented who's doing podcasts. Most of the time, there's no character. As I said, there's no substance. They don't even know what they're talking about. And it's just ridiculous. So, I'm starting this channel to not start a podcast, I guess. I feel like maybe I'm guilty of what I'm upset about when it comes to podcasts. What do you think, Albert? By the way, that's Albert. There'll probably be some other friends that show up occasionally. Story about Albert. My buddy and I used to work for a housing complex, and while we were cleaning out an apartment, someone moved out. We found this guy in a fridge, so we saved him, and I got to keep him. Not important. Again, unscripted, one take. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, this will probably be the shortest rant because I don't actually care that much about podcast culture. I just figured it was a good way to start talking about this channel. So again, Dan Sucky Rants, the channel where a loser named Danny rants about something, and I'm a loser named Danny. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or don't. I literally don't give a crap. That is all. Farewell.